The wind moved down the empty streets like a sharp blade, cutting through layers of clothing and pressing cold into the bones. On the corner of that street sat a man, hunched and shivering, his feet bare against the frozen pavement. His toes were red, swollen, and cracked from the bitter winter air. People walked past, some glancing for a moment before looking away, others not noticing him at all. To them, he was just another figure in the shadows, someone lost to the world. His name was Daniel, though few knew it anymore. Once, he had been a man with steady hands and steady work, a small apartment filled with photographs and laughter. But years of setbacks, job loss, sickness, debts he could not climb out of had slowly taken it all away. What remained was this corner, a threadbare coat, and the gnawing weight of loneliness. More painful than the hunger or the cold was the sense that he no longer existed in anyone's eyes. He pulled his knees to his chest, trying to hold in what little warmth he had. Each breath left him in a pale mist that quickly vanished, as though the world itself erased even the evidence of his presence. Memories pressed into his mind, warm meals shared at a kitchen table, his mother's gentle voice reminding him to wear his shoes when winter came. Now, without them, he felt stripped of the last dignity he had left. Shoes were not just protection against the cold. They were a small shield between himself and the harshness of the world. Without them, he felt naked, forgotten, less than human. As he sat there, Daniel wondered how much longer he could endure. The nights stretched endlessly, and the cold carried a heaviness that sank deep into his chest. He thought of giving up, of letting the winter claim him, because at times it seemed easier than continuing this silent fight. Each day felt like a test of how much suffering a man could carry before he broke. Yet, even in that despair, a small ember flickered. It was faint, almost invisible, but it was there, a whisper that maybe, just maybe, tomorrow could be different. Though he could not name it, this tiny spark was the reason he stayed on that corner and not somewhere darker. The reason he continued to breathe against the biting wind. He did not yet know that soon, the world would notice him in the most unexpected way. The woman hurried along the sidewalk, clutching her coat tighter against the icy wind. The sky was a pale gray, heavy with the promise of more snow, and most people rushed about with their eyes fixed forward, eager to reach the warmth of home. As she passed the corner, her gaze caught on him Daniel, though to her he was just a man sitting shoeless on the frozen ground. For a moment, she slowed, her steps faltering. Something about the sight tugged at her heart. She had seen people in need before, but this felt different. The rawness of his bare feet against the ice, the way he kept his head bowed as though shielding himself from the shame of being seen, stirred something deep inside her. She thought of how easily the world seemed to pass him by, how invisible he must feel. Yet she, in this instant, could not look away. Still, hesitation gripped her. She asked herself what she could do. A few dollars, would that be enough? What if he rejected her help? What if people stared at her for stopping? A dozen reasons to keep walking filled her mind, and for a heartbeat she nearly gave in to them. It would be easier, safer, to just pass by like everyone else. But her heart would not let her. She thought of her own brother, who had once gone through hard times. She remembered how a single act of kindness from a stranger had made a difference for him. That memory pressed against her hesitation like a gentle hand urging her forward. Without overthinking, she turned back and approached him. She knelt slightly so that her eyes could meet his. He looked startled, as though he was unused to anyone acknowledging him. She offered a soft smile and asked how he was doing, though her voice trembled slightly in the cold. His answer was quiet, almost lost in the wind, but the weariness in it told her more than words ever could. In that moment, she knew what she wanted to do. The thought rose clear and firm within her. He needed shoes. Not tomorrow, not later, but right now. She stood, glanced around, and saw a small store across the street. Without hesitation, she walked toward it, her mind already fixed on the task. As she pushed open the door to the shop, a warmth spread through her, not just from escaping the cold, but from a certainty that this choice, small as it seemed, mattered. She didn't know if it would change his life, but she knew it could change his day. And sometimes, that was enough. Daniel sat still, not fully understanding what had just happened. He watched as the woman disappeared into the store, his mind caught between disbelief and suspicion. People rarely stopped for him, let alone cared enough to return. He lowered his eyes, unsure whether to hope or to guard himself against disappointment. Hope had betrayed him before. Minutes later, the sound of footsteps returned, softer, purposeful. When he looked up, there she was again, her arms holding a simple box. She knelt once more, brushing snowflakes from the lid before opening it. Inside lay a pair of sturdy winter shoes, thick soles meant to withstand the cold, and a pair of warm socks folded neatly beside them. For a moment, Daniel could not move. His hands trembled as he reached for them, as though afraid they might vanish if he touched them. His throat tightened, words caught behind the heavy knot of emotion. Finally, he managed a whisper of thanks, though it felt far too small for what she had given him. The woman smiled gently, urging him to put them on. Slowly, he slid the socks over his frozen feet, feeling warmth rush back into his skin. Then the shoes, solid, protective, almost like armor against the harshness he had endured. With every movement, something inside him shifted. They were not just shoes. They were proof that he was seen, that he mattered enough for someone to stop and care. As he stood, testing the weight of them, he felt steadier, stronger, more human. The world still carried its difficulties, but suddenly, it did not seem entirely against him. That small ember of hope that had flickered faintly now glowed brighter, fed by the kindness of one stranger. The woman rose too, her expression soft but resolute. She didn't speak much more, only a few gentle words, wishing him well. But her eyes held sincerity deeper than any speech could carry. For her, it was just a moment, a decision made on a cold winter street. But for him, it was a turning point, a reminder that even when life stripped everything away, compassion could rebuild something within. As Daniel walked away, the crunch of snow beneath his new shoes sounded different, like a quiet anthem of survival. The woman remained for a moment, watching him go. Her heart warmed in a way the winter air could not touch. She knew she had not changed the world, yet she had changed his, and that truth filled her with a peace she would carry long after the snow melted. Life often tells us that only grand gestures matter, but the truth is that even the smallest act can carry immeasurable weight. Helping one person may not transform the entire world, but it can transform a life. Giving strength where there was despair, light where there was darkness. This story reminds us that the power to change someone's world is always within our reach. So the next time you see someone in need, remember you might be the reason their hope continues. If this story touched you, please like, share, and subscribe for more tales that warm the heart.